Alright, so now we'll keep going. We'll tidy up a little bit of a detail here for the front and back concrete tilt-up panels. Earlier I got you to model these panels 200mm sailing past each grid line. That'll be okay for the internal ones, but the ones on the end of the building, we've had a discussion in class that they actually need to go 260 past those grid lines. So I'll do a push-pull and I'll go another 60mm. So press and release and then type 60 and press enter, and that'll take us another 60mm past that point there. And I'll do the same on this other one on this edge, an extra 60mm at the front, let it go, then type 60, and just to double check that this is happening right, I'll pick up my tape measure, go end point to that point. I do get 260. I'm not going to leave that line there, so I'll escape out of that command. It was just a measure. And another one at the back here, an extra 60mm. Go, and then type 60. So I'm just giving it a direction each time, then letting go, and I get a second chance to type 60. I find it better that way than actually trying to type as you're push-pulling. You get to let go the buttons and then concentrate on what you're doing properly. Okay, so next step is I might add some more elements to this building now. We'll start adding the some glass curtain walls which will fit in between these opening bays here, and we'll set them into the portal columns, into this. If I zoom right in, we'll set these glass curtain walls up into this space in that line through there. The glass curtain walls we'll use a 150mm wide mullion, aluminium frame joinery mullion, and then we'll come up with a range. Later on, when we get into Revit, we'll bring this model into Revit, we'll actually detail that up more. But for the moment, I'm just going to make it a blank 150mm thick panel, just like we've done for the concrete tilt-up columns. Leave it as a mass like that for now with no detail, and then later on when we get to Revit, it'll start taking on some more detail. Okay, so I'll come, I think to start with, I'll set out some set out lines. Let's grab the tape measure and let's come 60mm off there, I think. So I'm just setting up 60mm because the 150mm mullions will have around about a 50mm thickness to them. So I'll just grab my tape measure there and just double check this dimension that I've got. I won't leave anything with the tape measure here now. 44mm, so that'll be nice. We've got a 44mm landing for the last element of the glass curtain wall. Now I might make sure I've got a little bit of a gap between the actual column face and the glass curtain wall, so I'm going to come back from that edge out 5 or 10mm, let's say 5mm, just so we've got a bit of a gap there. And whoops, I've lost my view here for a second. I'll just zoom back out and find out what's happened there, so I can show you. Okay, this is where I'm aiming to, at this intersection here, 5mm off that. That's what I'm going to set out as my glass curtain wall. Okay, so I just might, like I normally do, like you've seen me do before, I'll just place a glass curtain wall element. Well, we better change to the, we haven't got one there, we've just got walling, so let's create a new layer. So I'll go to the layer manager box. Oops, I've just closed it, it's over here already open. Okay, so I'll set out, oh, I have got a curtain wall, sorry. I want to set my curtain wall up as the current layer. So in that radio button, close the dialog box, go to my rectangle tool like we've done before. I normally like to create it out here in space first. Just leave it, let it go, do something like 3 meters again, comma 150 for the thickness of the glass curtain wall. I'll pull that up by 3.6 meters. That'll be the height of the glass curtain wall. Let it go, type 3600, press enter, and now we could triple click that and start to position it. Might be better if you come to, it's going to be a little bit awkward to place this in, but I think it'll work alright here. If I triple click my glass curtain wall now and I orbit around so that I can get to this bottom end point here with the move tool, and I come from that end point, and then very carefully, this is going to be a bit tricky to try and get a position there. I can see that there. If I orbit there, I want to get to that intersection just there, so that's going to take a little bit of work for you to get that intersection there, but you can do it. So I'll zoom back out now, and I've got that nicely accurately located in that position. I'll then set out another 60mm offset with my tape measure in that direction, red axis, 60mm, which should enable me to now do a push-pull to that line. Or you could do a move actually, but I think a push-pull would work, so a couple of different options. I'll get to this sort of orientation through here, so I'm looking at that, and I can then push-pull. Now it's counterintuitive. Students tend to think they've got to keep their push-pull tool somewhere in the middle of the face, but you actually don't. You can bring it out somewhere where it's not, where it's unambiguous, and so you can click on this line here and it will snap it along to there. You don't have to keep your push-pull tool in the middle of that face. Don't be frightened to bring it out to somewhere else, and there's no ambiguity there about where I want it to go along that line. And then I will clean up my construction lines like I get you to always do, and I've got a glass curtain wall element in place. So it's a matter of doing a bit of copying that around. So once again I'll go through a triple click, and then I'll do remove and control to get that to copy, and copy it from this grid line here, rubber band it in the red axis direction to that grid line there. Notice I'm not moving or copying from actually on the item. I can come out to some other reference place. While that one's still highlighted there, I'll set out some grid lines on the other side of the building with my tape measure. We were coming 5mm off this inside face, so I'll get orbit around to there, come from one of those flanges, come out 5mm, so I've got the line that I want it to go to. So while this one's highlighted there at the moment, I can come around to this side, my move tool, press and release the control key to make it become copy, so I'm somewhere on that edge there, and I want that edge to go to green rubber band, and then pick that line there, that construction line that we just set out. I'll just double check that looks like what we've done is correct there. Yep, we've got a tiny little gap in that point. So once you've got that one in place, then it's simply a matter of copying that one on this side of the building. It's currently selected, so press and release control to change move into copy, and I'll go from that grid line here, red rubber band, press and hold shift key to constrain it, click onto that one. While that one's selected, control key, select it from there and do a copy up to this bay. So shift to constrain it to the red, and now we've got our glass curtain walls in place. So another point to do a bit of a save at. We'll stop the video and let you catch up to that point.